right, let's just fucking blast off. Oops, no pun intended there. I'm going to Iran is striking back at Israel. I am live. JD Vance versus Tim Walz debate later. Get in now. Yeah, everything is falling apart. I have to tell the Lebanese the not Lebanese, the Palestinian historian guy that I can't actually talk to him today. Does anyone have a blast off meme? Trump ran an ad with this. This shit was like paired up alongside. Does anyone have a motherfucking blast off meme or not? Is Hasanabi drinking an elixir? Yes. This is alchemy. I'm drinking a potion. This is a muscle potion. I put this on. When I get my potion, I end up eating a bunch of mana. Okay, dude, that's the what is that? I can't use this as a blast off meme. People keep saying I'm a queer baiter for you guys. By the way, Israel doesn't want footage to come out. That is way too inside baseball to post. Okay, that's too inside baseball to post. Give me something normal, please. No, I'm not posting that. Okay. McGurk and Sullivan said, fuck the CIA, fuck the State Department, fuck the Geneva Convention, fuck the election. We're starting a war. Let's go. Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy. A lot of the Dick Cheney ends up offering Dick Cheney's support for Kamala Harris starts making so much sense when you realize that, like, and I think Jeremy Scahill made a similar point. A lot of the Dick Cheney is supporting Kamala Harris. Shit makes sense when you realize that the Democratic Party is like literally giving the neocon dream like everything they want. The Democratic Party currently, and I'm telling you right now, do you think Israel gonna respond? I live in Iran. I kind of hope you say no, Keg W, bro. I have no fucking idea. Okay, I thought Iran was in. First of all, Israel will definitely respond. I just don't know how. I don't know where this goes. If there's one thing you know, Israel literally does not de-escalate. Okay, they do not have. It's the most cop country on the planet, brother. It is such a cop country that it literally trains our cops. Okay, the IDF trains our police, brother. The passive voice being used for domestic American police brutality is also used for Israel for that reason. It is the most cop-coded country on the fucking planet, all the way down to like the fuck shit that they engage with on a regular fucking basis. So what do cops do? They never de-escalate, brother. They always escalate. So they're gonna escalate. It's just, do they have the capacity to do so? And how much is America going to fucking, how much is America going to give them? All things considered, Holden Blood Feast will get to feast on blood once again. Okay, that's it. This morning, I was fucking dropping absolute bombs on my buddy on the basketball court when I found out. Got a text message from Noah Call when he said the big one's happening right now. I was like, oh no, what do you mean the big one? He said, turn on Sky News right now. I fucking dropped the basketball. I literally fucking turned on Sky News on my goddamn phone, and I saw the Tel Aviv sky lit up like a goddamn Christmas tree. Okay, so, and it's hitting. Like, they're hitting fucking targets, brother. Shit is not all right. Israel is currently experiencing shit that it does to other countries in a much more limited fashion, mind you. Okay? So I assume you guys are going to, for the first time ever, see news media coverage that centers the victims of a bombing campaign for once, because it's on the good guys' side. The good guys are the ones receiving the bombing from the fucking perspective of Western media. So they trust me, they will remember how to cover conflicts. Now, as far as I understand, the Iranian message ahead of time was they're not trying to target civilian targets. They are trying to target military targets. The problem is, you know what? I'll let CNN's Jim Surito explain what the problem is when you're targeting military targets. Let's take a look.
The U.S. intel view that among the targets were Israeli airfields, but also, and this is crucial, the headquarters of Mossad, the International Intelligence Service of Israel, which is inside Tel Aviv. It's in the northern part of Tel Aviv, but it's in the city. It's in a densely populated area.
Oh no, wait a minute. Does that mean that Israel's using human shields, brother? Is that because that's what you taught me. That's what you educated me on, Jim. Jim Sequito. I ain't never seen you wear the fucking vest before. I ain't never seen you wear the helmet before, Jim. You're in Tel Aviv. Why are you wearing the helmet, Jim? So many of his colleagues were assassinated by the Israeli state, dressed up exactly like that with American bombs, mind you. Okay. So it turns out there is no such thing as fucking human shields. Okay. And that's something that I understand. And that's something that you need to understand as well. It's just that I actually believe that these fucking scumbags only deploy that when it's Israel that is in the crosshairs of a bombing campaign. Just going to point that out real quick. Okay.
And of course, the concern is if you're firing, even though Iran might consider that a military target, it is in a densely populated city with civilians around it. And that's just one more layer of escalation.
Oh, that's an escalation? Wait. So striking military targets that happen to be in fucking densely populated civilian areas is an escalation. Is it an escalation through, is it a de-escalation tactic through escalation? Is Iran de-escalating through escalation right now? Is that what's going on? Or is Iran doing something that is unimaginably cruel and unusual to Israel? I don't know. Because like I said, I've only learned from mainstream media. I've only watched mainstream media. So I'm like a little confused. I'm a little confused right now as to why the tone and the coverage is like so dramatically different. Because for the past 12 months, that shit was awesome, right? Like it was sick. Israel was so mighty and so good at what it does. Israel also literally fucking has an Iron Dome, okay? Israel currently has the might of the American military, Jordanian coverage, American coverage, Saudi coverage. They got literally regional partners trying to defend Israel to the best of their fucking ability, and the Iron Dome is getting fucking overwhelmed, okay? Let's see what Al Jazeera is saying.
Sayyid Ali Khamenei, who has the control over the all armed forces, and he has the right to declare war on any other country.
I will warn all of you, don't get fucking callous. Do not think you can post like an Israel defender, okay? You cannot. I'm letting you know right now, you will literally go to prison, okay? Your life, they will end your life. You will go to jail potentially for supporting terrorism. It don't work that way. Do not fucking Fed post. Do not fucking Fed post in the chat. I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know right now. A lot of you motherfuckers did this. You did this on October 7th too, and you got, okay? You will never, you will have to sit there and eat the callous indifference and the cackling hyenas over on the side of defending Israel brigade every damn day as they fucking point to like children in body bags, children in fucking trash bags and say they deserve it. And if you were to ever say anything, even marginally close to that, if you were to ever even celebrate it, you will get branded a terrorist. I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know right now. Don't fucking do it. Don't do it. Okay? Having said that, however, the hypocrisy is a little bit alarming. I mean, it's thick. It's thick. You know, I'm experiencing things that I didn't think I would. I didn't think I'd be seeing. You know, coverage that I didn't think I'd be watching.
Starting a ground operation, and then this hit today is changed completely the course of event, but it's also spoiling Benjamin Netanyahu, who presented himself as the future leader of the Middle East, who's going to punish anyone that attacks Israel.
Elijah, you said Iran was, quote, escalating to de-escalate, which is, you know, it's kind of a strange quote, but it's one we've heard several times in the last few days. And really, the first time we heard it was from Israel, that's what they were trying to do. in Lebanon against Hezbollah. The idea of escalate to de-escalate is essentially show your military muscle, show that you're stronger in order to deter your enemy and prevent a bigger war. If everybody's doing the same thing and is adopting the same logic, where's this taking us?
Well, it's all in the hand of Benjamin Netanyahu. He is the one who dictating the tempo. He's the one who's going to war on Lebanon. He's the one who started an all-out war on the Gaza against the civilians, not only Hamas, and then turned against Lebanon, hit Hodeidah, and then went to Iran and assassinated Ismail Haniyeh there. He bombed the Iranian consulate in Damascus. He is the one who is escalating for his personal reason to remain in power. And because he's feeling all this victory, he doesn't feel concerned about stopping the war. On the contrary, he wants to continue. And this is why Iran is saying, I'm going to come
footage
in.
of missiles hitting an airbase, the Nevatim airbase in the Negev. Bro, that's crazy shit, okay? Now, look, they got they got bunkers, okay? Iran does not have the same munitions that Israel has. Iran is not fucking flying F-15s over targets and directly fucking striking them. Their capabilities are diminished in comparison to what Israel can do to a defenseless area that it occupies, such as the Gaza Strip, or a defenseless country with a paramilitary that is all that remains to defend them, like Lebanon. Okay, Lebanon does not have any anti-air systems in general. That is by design. It's so that Israel can fucking fly over it and destroy it when they want to. Okay, and I need you to understand. I need you to understand something. Okay. This entire situation, and I want everyone to remember this entire situation could have been avoided since day fucking one. It could have been avoided from the jump. All it would have required was demanding that Joe Biden do the elder statesman thing, which is reign in Israel. People in his corner told him to do that. People literally told him over and over again, hey dog, you know how Israel gets, bro? Please tell him to dial it the fuck back. He was like, nope. Wow, how about it? Oh, look alive, Jack. I love Israel. I'm a Zionist. Israel can kill as many babies as it wants, Jack. Look alive. Here's the facts. I'm a Zionist. Okay? Rein it in. Rein it in. I've said it a million fucking times. I said it a million times over the course of the past fucking 12 months. I was like, rein it in. Rein Israel in. Please, rein Israel in. I even said, listen, if you're a bloodless, monstrous, sociopathic piece of shit, but you still care about at least like retaining power, at least if you care about the Democratic Party winning the election, don't fucking leave Netanyahu with a fat fucking arsenal of weapons and a willingness to do the bidding of Donald Trump, because he's in the tank for Donald fucking Trump. He's going to go to war with Lebanon. He's going to invade Lebanon. Everyone's like, Hassan, you're being ridiculous. Hassan, you're being crazy. Where the fuck are we now? Where are we now? I said it for months. Am I fucking prophetic? No, I'm a dumbass, okay? I'm a stupid fucking idiot who sits around in front of a computer all goddamn day. I just know a little bit about the way Israel behaves. That's it. I've just done a little bit of reading. That's it, like a minor amount. If you are even remotely interested in the history of the region, you arrive at this conclusion on your own. If you only get your shit from fucking, I don't know, random YouTubers who are dick riding Israel into fucking oblivion, or if you're only getting your news from MSNBC, CNN, Western media without ever like applying a little bit of fucking media literacy or applying a little bit of critical thinking, you're like, oh, how did this happen? Israel's the victim once again. It's crazy. Dude, they've been doing this. They've been doing this like for 76 years. Of course, a lot of the fucking regional actors have basically designed their entire existence around maintaining a defensive posture, maintaining a deterrent strategy, and developing an arsenal specifically to combat this kind of thing that Israel does on a regular basis. And since October 7, Israel's been doing infinitely worse shit that Tel Aviv is receiving currently every goddamn day. Every goddamn day. Every day, dude. So if you are now going, how could this have happened? How is this going? How could this have ever happened? Who would have foreseen this? Like, I've been fucking telling you that this was gonna happen. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This isn't normal. Every single one of these rockets is meant to kill. Yeah, no shit, dude. That's what rockets do, dumbass. That's what your rockets do to the fucking Palestinians. Like, get the fuck out of here. What are we doing? Never seen the Iron Dome like this. Iran built different. I've never seen a total failure of Israeli interceptors like this. Completely ineffective against Iranian missiles to the point of comedy. It is insane, brother. Of course. What the fuck were they thinking? What were they thinking? Also, this is the most Israel thing to do, okay? There is nothing more Israel to be like, oh shit, we're getting fucking bombed in a way that we never have. What to do? Oh, it's time to fucking post like a goddamn teenager. Dude, what are you doing? This is the national account of the fucking state, okay? Of an apartheid state that is currently conducting a genocide, okay? And they're posting like a fucking anxiety-ridden teenager. Like, this isn't normal. What are you doing, bro? Stop normalizing this problematic behaviors of missiles a thread. Is this the start of World War III? I don't think so, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay? I'll be honest. It is unique to Iran to do this. Okay? Like it was already unceremonious and out of pocket for Iran to even retaliate against Israel at all, but that was a managed retaliation. Okay? That was a managed retaliation. That was genuinely a previously communicated retaliation, and they struck like one military base overall. They didn't fucking deploy shit. They told what they were going to do ahead of time. Like they gave literally like a week's notice or some shit. This time is different. It's a little different. It kind of caught everybody by surprise. They still gave forewarning, but the forewarning was significantly shorter, right? And I don't know. What is Pat Bev doing over there? I don't know. But if I'm Pat Bev, I'm getting the fuck out. Don't worry. America will give you a flight out. Unlike those in Lebanon. If you're in the crosshairs of Israeli bombing, of course, you don't get a flight out there. But if you're in Israel, don't worry. America will find a way to fucking transport your ass out of there and back into safe territory. You know, Pat Bev is cooked. Anyway. Israel just promised to retaliate? Yeah, I know. They did. They warned. This morning, they warned. Senior Iranian official said the U.S. was alerted by Iran through diplomatic channels shortly before the attacks. But that was not a long-ass forewarning. That's a little different. This is the message Israelis across Jerusalem are receiving right now. Imagine living like this. Dude, are you fucking... Bro, are you serious? Are you serious? Imagine living like this? Yeah, dude. That's how Palestinians live every fucking day. They don't even have the home front command. They just eat it. They don't have bomb shelters. 12 fucking months of genocide, bro. No way. No fucking way. Turns out bombs killed. That's crazy. I'm actually shocked, brother. That's crazy. Anyway, I hope the Hasanabi heads... Listen, I mean, this is the same thing I say to the Hasanabi heads in fucking Lebanon that Israel bombs on a regular basis. I hope you guys are all right. You know, my thoughts are with you. I know you're already fucking stuck in a goddamn genocidal freak ass fucking state, you know, surrounded by absolute sickos on a regular fucking basis. Life is shit as it is for you. And now you have to fucking deal with the genocidal government you don't agree with and its consequences. I hope you guys are all right. You know, be safe. I don't know. It's the exact same thing. It's like, it's what I say to the Palestinians. It's what I say to the Palestinian chatters. What I say to the fucking Lebanese chatters is the same shit. It's like, what is this guy? This guy said, you still on Iraq's side and Hamas side? Brother, are you fucking stupid? Do you not hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? I am anti-genocide, okay? I'm anti-genocide. I'm anti-fucking war. Do you understand that? That's the side I'm on. Holy shit, dude. Jesus Christ. 12 months of fucking genocide from the apartheid state. And this motherfucker's like, are you still on Iraq? What is Iraq doing? Like, what? Is Iraq involved in any way? This motherfucker dropped that in there, bro. He just dropped Iraq in the conversation, demonstrating his position is just like, so what's up? Are you with the fucking, you know, are you with the sand people or what? Like, who are you with? Are you with the civilization or the sand people? Whose side are you on? It's crazy because it's like, Both in the axis of evil, no. Bro, what the fuck is Iraq doing, dog? Iraq? What do you mean? It's like led by an American puppet state. Are you crazy? What the fuck has Iraq done? Motherfucker said Iraq, bro. Sorry to the Iraqi Hasanabi heads, bro. You're gonna have to get invaded again, it seems. Okay? I'm letting you know, man. It seems like Americans usually have this appetite, you know? Americans just have an unfortunate appetite for death and destruction when stuff like this happens. Here, let's hear what they have to say now.
A lot of decisions to be made right now by Israeli government officials. We have much more ahead. Our special coverage of the Iranian attack on Israel continues.
She put her entire career at stake.
Okay, dude. Jesus Christ. As soon as I fucking tune in, they're like, yeah, ad break.
Still an occupation. When Israel controls the land borders and controls pretty much every aspect of life in Gaza, this is still considered under international law an occupation. This has been adjudicated in the world's top court, and Israel lost that one. Gaza is an occupation.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, you said that, and the court said that. We're still facing Hamas in Gaza, which its charter, by the way, like the charter of Hezbollah.
Bro, this dude is, bro, go to the bomb shelter, dog. Go to the bomb shelter. What do you mean, Hezbollah and Hamas? Bro, you are unserious. You are not a serious person, dude. Holy shit. This motherfucker's like, I don't give a fuck. They could kill me right now, and I'm still going to tell you the talking points, okay?
Can I ask you about regional
He's
conflict?
like, yo, remember the 1988 charter of Hamas?
And do you think that he's trying to precipitate regime change in Iran based on his comments yesterday, ostensibly addressed to Iranians? Let me see if I can find the exact quote. When Iran is finally free, and that moment will come a lot sooner than people
among
think,
the targets were
everything will be
Israeli
different. Is
airfields,
Benjamin
but
Netanyahu
also,
trying
and this
to
is
affect
crucial,
regime change
the
in Iran?
headquarters of Mossad, the...
Oh, sorry.
First, I'm not a big fan of Netanyahu, so...
Oh, yeah, he hates Netanyahu, but he
I
also
think, yes,
obviously...
he wants somehow to get that Iran doesn't become nuclear power, and he knows that he needs America for this. So, yes, he has something in the back of his mind that if this is an opportunity to involve America, he would push for it. As for regime change, I don't think Israelis should be involved in any speculations and ideas. We tried it in Lebanon back in 1982, and we failed. And I think Israel should talk about the regime change in Israel itself, not elsewhere.
Uri Dromi, founding director general of Jerusalem Press Club, retired colonel in the Israeli Air Force. Thank you very much for joining us on Al Jazeera.
Oh, Israel gave the all clear
Thank
about
you
an
for
hour ago.
having me.
The attacks are over. Oh, I thought
Okay,
they were
let's
still
get an
blowing.
update
I
now
thought they
from-
were still going in. I just saw a live connection to Tel Aviv. They're already back to normal. It's crazy. So we don't have a final assessment. I didn't realize. I thought it was still going on. I don't have a final assessment of what's happening. No, this is live. Al Jazeera is live right now. It's just that the attacks are from earlier. They're just showing the wave of attacks from earlier. Okay. You think the recent escalation with Lebanon now and now Iran was Bibi coaxing attacks to boost his approval? Benjamin Netanyahu has wanted a fucking war with Iran for most of his life. Okay. This is the reason why he was heavily against the Iran denuclearization agreement, because he was terrified of the prospect of normalizing relationship with Iran. That's why he kept mercilessly and relentlessly attacking the Obama administration for its signature accomplishment on that front. That's part of the reason why he loved Donald Trump. IDF has announced, as far as I understand, they've announced that they're like going to retaliate. But the thing is, here's the issue. Okay, they already have been. Yesterday they bombed Damascus and Lebanon. Like they already have been fucking nonstop attacking. The only difference in this circumstance is they'll probably attack Iran. And I don't know if they'll actually attack Iran with even more weapons than prior. And I don't know what that looks like. This is unique territory overall. This is new territory overall. It's not unique in the sense that like Israelis have been literally begging to nuke Tehran for quite a while. Okay. But Israel already bombed Yemen yesterday. They bombed fucking Damascus. They bombed Lebanon. They've been bombing Lebanon. The only difference is now they'll fucking bomb Iran again. Hasanabi, people on Reddit are saying Iran just started this war. History yet again reset today. Yeah, word I got is that this will be like the April attacks. Israel will retaliate by attacking Hezbollah in Lebanon, not Iran, and Iran will use this to posture to the Arab world that they can do something, but not expected anything else to happen like April. We'll see. But the difference in this circumstance of the Iranian retaliation was the lack of prior knowledge of the retaliation. Like they only revealed that they were going to retaliate. They only revealed that they were going to retaliate right before they actually launched their missiles. Last time they gave like 7 days of warning. They telegraphed it. They were like, hey, we're going to come. We're going to retaliate. We're going to retaliate. If Israel doesn't do something about it, we're going to retaliate. We have a right to defend our sovereignty. This time it was relatively quick. BM is posting throughout the Middle East. What a bunch of psychos. The IDF after the Iranian attack. The Air Force will attack strongly tonight throughout the Middle East. We'll see. Al Jazeera correspondent in Tehran is saying there will be another wave of attacks. It is pretty fucking crazy that all of this shit was absolutely telegraphed, okay? All of this stuff was telegraphed from the jump. It was telegraphed from the jump. It's not like we didn't know this was going to happen. Of course we knew this was going to happen. What the fuck was anybody expecting? And for the record, what Israel will do, I suspect, when they say they're going to fucking retaliate, is probably kill a bunch of Gazan civilians, okay? As they have been. They haven't really stopped. They killed like 34 the other day. It's just that the attention has shifted over to the Lebanese civilians that they're fucking killing by the hundreds, right? In Beirut. So that's probably what they're going to do. They're going to pummel civilians. They're going to punish civilians as hard as they possibly can because they only have one fucking speed. They only know to do one thing, and that's kill civilians. And that's precisely what they're going to fucking do. I just don't think that, I don't know. Will this inevitably cause Israel to implode on itself? I mean, all of these things actually hurt the psyche of the Israeli citizens because Israel only responds to violence, okay? Israel only backs away when they are forced to back away through violent retaliation. I think there was a terror attack as well. Like there was I think like a shooting attack inside of Israel as well. And I don't know if it was in coordination. It probably was in coordination with the bombings. But ultimately, what's going to happen is because Israel only responds to force with more escalation, but only backs away when they fear that there are real repercussions for Israel. Okay, that's what they've educated the entire region on. So that's why these things are happening. Inevitably, they can only get away with this. They can only get away with like further and further escalating when they have this security, when they have the Iron Dome, when they have the confidence that like the regional actors, no matter how they retaliate, Israel will be able to protect its citizens. It will be able to protect its civilians, right? When that security veneer, when that mentality goes away, when normal Israeli society starts fearing that there is retaliation for all of the dangerous escalations, the calculation changes dramatically. Because remember, Israel is within the sphere of Western influence. It is like a Western country in the Middle East. So people go to work, people have marketing jobs. Okay, I think it was 2 people from Jaffa, 6 dead, mostly civilians, and a few others wounded. Thank you, Time Without an Ovo. I'm glad you're safe. So when, you got DJs, oh, sorry, from Hebron, but the attack was in Haifa. Projectiles were intercepted over Jerusalem Tuesday evening as Iran said it fired dozens of missiles into Israel's retaliation for killings of leaders of Hezbollah and Hamas. Air raid sirens are sounding across Israel. Do you think an invasion of Iran's airspace is possible and likely retaliation? I don't know. Maybe. Israel is going to see what it really means to be a U.S. proxy state? No, I don't think so. In Jaffa. It was in Tel Aviv. Okay, I don't know where the attack was. I need to take a breather. In my opinion, it's nothing because Israel knew not only it was going to happen, but also the targets which were cleared. Last I saw, only injuries were 3 from the shrapnel and 2 people from running into each other in shelters. Yeah, but you have to remember, Israel will be notoriously private about like what targets actually got hit. I don't think that they will. I do not think that they will be open about if like their military hardware was destroyed. Like they're not going to say that because they do not want any of the regional actors that are aligned against Israel. They do not want any of the regional actors aligned against Israel to score a W in this situation. They do not want, even if there are, like, obviously if Israeli civilians died, we'll know about it, that they can't hide that. But if the attacks are directed at military targets, as the Iranians claim they were, and they specifically destroyed military hardware, Israel probably will not reveal that information at all. Like, they don't want that. They don't want that. They don't want people to know that Israel is not this like fallible and impossible to penetrate security barrier is actually not impossible to penetrate. Israel's Channel 12, 8 killed in the Jaffa shooting. Israeli police say one of the attackers has also been killed. Yeah, there was a shooting at a train stop in Jaffa. Israel has resulted in multiple casualties. Initial reports indicate several people were wounded, with some in critical condition. According to the Israeli Broadcasting Authority, 4 people have been killed in the attack. Yeah, and I think Daniel Hagari also said that like you shouldn't show any videos of any attacks. Don't show the videos. Very graphic. I'm not going to show the videos. To be honest, I think we could be next. I don't know what part of the world you're in. If you're in Iran, or if you're in Lebanon, or if you are in America, I don't know. Is this also de-escalation by escalation? No, this is retaliation. What do you mean? Oh, in America? Yeah, I mean, maybe, probably not though. I think most of the regional actors are too busy with their own backyard at this moment to focus their crosshairs on the United States of America. Can you please explain how Israel uses human shields? I'm confused on no civilians died if that's the case. Iran's legal, rational, and legitimate response to the terrorist acts of the Zionist regime, which involved targeting Iranian nationals and interests and infringing upon the national sovereignty of the Islamic Republic of Iran, has been duly carried out. Should the Zionist regime dare to respond or commit further acts of malevolence, a subsequent and crushing response will ensue. Regional states and the Zionist supporters are advised to part ways with the regime. They're doing the same thing that Benjamin Netanyahu said yesterday. They're like, hey, we don't want war with you, the Israeli people, but your government is the reason. BBC and ABC are saying unprovoked attack on Israel. Of course they're saying that, dude. The only attacks that are provoked are dude, Israel gets to listen. You have to understand, Israel gets to attack everybody, and that's always righteous. And if Israel ever gets countered or retaliated upon, it's unprovoked. Please understand.
Hear that Hamas wasn't really on board with this ceasefire, but also sources have told me that there were moments where Netanyahu also changed the parameters of what he wanted there. And I think the really big challenge has been, as one Middle East source told me, you as the negotiating party cannot want this ceasefire more than the parties on the ground involved. And that's where I think the struggle has been for Biden. This White House has wanted an end to the conflict, but it's not clear that the parties involved wanted it as much as Biden.
Asma, thank you. Jay O'Brien's at the White House for us today. So I guess 2 questions for you, Jay, as we're getting a number of leaders from the Hill weighing in on what's happening overseas. We do know that the president was in the sit room, the vice president right next to him, monitoring what was happening as Iran was launching those missiles. Do we know what exactly he is doing now? And is he also in a wait-and-see mode, waiting to see what Israel is going to do? Or do you think he'll get a heads up from Benjamin Netanyahu as to what may happen next?
Well, a number of different things to unpack in that. Firstly, I can tell you that when the president and the vice president were in the situation, it was largely White House officials say to coordinate the defensive response. The U.S. participated in trying to shoot down some of these missiles and succeeding in shooting down some of these missiles. Exactly how many the Israelis were able to intercept versus the U.S. and potentially other allies shooting down is very much unclear. But we know that that was what the president president and the vice president were monitoring there. The defensive ability by U.S. military assets to shoot down some of these missiles in participation, of course, in defending their Israeli partners. We also know that senior White House officials telegraphed that there would be, quote, severe consequences for Iran if there was a direct strike of this nature at Israel. Exactly what severe consequences look like is still very much unclear. As you said, the White House is somewhat in a wait-and-see pattern. They are obviously in close touch with Israel because they were participating.
Bro, they're about to know why we don't have free healthcare. I know, man. Yeah, you're right.
Will the White House get a heads
totally.
up as to any
just
kind
like
of
the fucking Ansar
response
Allah administration in Yemen
here?
found out, right?
That is an open question. No one really knows the
That's
answer
why they're
to that. I'll
fucking
give you a good
lobbing
example.
like
When
hypersonic
Israel
missiles
took
into
out the
Tel
leader
Aviv.
of Hezbollah
Still.
in that strike on that building that they
That's
said
an
was
own
at
on you,
Hezbollah
dog.
headquarters.
That is an
The US
own on
officials
you
got
and
an
all
update
of us.
about
You
that
understand
strike
that, right?
while it was in
Like the
motion.
idea
They
that
learned
like
it
we
was
don't have
happening
healthcare, is
while
that an
it was in
acceptable
progress.
fucking
So how
trade-off?
much
Are
of a
you
heads up they
insane?
might get to
Why are you
Israeli
openly
retaliation
saying that and you're
is still very
championing it?
much
That
unclear. We
originated.
know that White House
That
officials
originated.
questions.
That statement originated as a angry thing. Like people used to say that as like, how fucked up is it that we don't have healthcare because we're just like always funding more missiles? That's the joke. Come on, man. It's old as fuck line. I mean, it depends. Some can't tell a joke. It's got to be a joke. Okay, first of all, you can joke about this. I'm just saying that like a lot of people don't make that as a joke in the sense that a lot of people that say that nowadays are saying that as an own, where they're like, no, dude, it's fucking sick. Like we don't have healthcare, and that's the reason why we get to blow up everybody. Like, and it still doesn't fucking work. You know what I mean? FEMA needs $9 billion, yet we send another $9 billion in shipments to Israel. Yes, dude. Are you anti-Semitic? Are you anti-Semitic, sir? Of course. Excuse me. We need to deploy the National Guard, not to areas that are in desperate need of hurricane assistance, but directly to the region so we can defend Israel when Israel inevitably goes to war with every fucking country in the region. So shut the fuck up. Shut your anti-Semitic mouth up. Do you understand? How unacceptable of you to say these sorts of anti-Semitic things.
Lindsey Graham's colleagues, as Lindsey Graham so often is on the issue of Iran, he has gone further than any other Republican or Democrat at this hour.
Do you think zero casualties because Iran showed restraint? It's both. Iran showing restraint and also the dome is effective.
As you said, for the U.S. to support
but it's mostly,
in that operation,
like, they hit targets, brother. Look,
place. What I've seen in statements.
Look, listen. Look at the impact. The Iron Dome is for tinier missiles in general. Okay? The Iron Dome is a more comprehensive, like the anti-ballistic system is called Arrow. Okay? And that when people say Iron Dome colloquially, they mean like all of the Israeli defense structure, not just the Tamir interceptors. Okay? But it's actually Arrow, I think like Arrow 1 through 3. Like David's Sling, I think, is another one. Like there are a bunch of different anti-missile systems that Israel has. It's very comprehensive. It's very large. And beyond that, beyond its capabilities of like intercepting, they also literally have the American the American aircrafts in the region and American anti-missile systems in the region as well. You have regional actors from Jordan. Jordan has defense capabilities as well. You have Saudi defense capabilities if Ansar Allah or Yemen is trying to fucking lob ballistic missiles or any kind of missiles from the direction of the Red Sea. So it's a comprehensive and very expensive structure to keep Israel safe and avoid any sort of like retaliation. Here's Jake Sullivan. Let's take a look at what he has to
interceptors to shoot down inbound missiles. President Biden and Vice President Harris monitored the attack and the response from the White House Situation Room, joined in person and remotely by their national security team. We are still working with the IDF and the authorities in Israel to assess the impact of the attack. But at this time, and I stress at this time, we do not know of any deaths in Israel. We are tracking the reported death of a Palestinian civilian in Jericho in the West Bank. We do not know of any damage to aircraft or strategic militants in Israel. In short, based on what we know at this point, this attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. This was first and foremost the result of the professionalism of the IDF, but in no small part because of the skilled work of the U.S. military and meticulous joint planning in anticipation of the attack. We are also aware of reports of a terrorist attack in Jaffa that took the lives of a number of Israeli civilians and wounded several others today. Our condolences go out to the families of the victims and to the family of the Palestinian civilian in Jericho.
He's not lying.
My update here.
Chat, stop immediately saying he's lying.
And we reserve the right to amend and adjust as necessary as we gather more information. The word fog of war was invented for a situation like this. This is a fluid situation. We will consult with the Israelis on next steps in terms of the response and how to deal with what Iran has just done. And we will continue to monitor for further threats and attacks from Iran and its proxies. We are particularly focused on protecting U.S. service members in the region. And with that, I'll take just a few questions.
And David Sling.
Thanks, Jake. Is the administration making any preparations to evacuate U.S. citizens from Lebanon or elsewhere in the region?
We have been very clear for some time now that U.S. citizens should avail themselves of commercial means to depart Lebanon, given everything that's going on. We have said that from this podium, from multiple podiums. We continue to say that, but we have not begun triggering a non-combatant evacuation, a NEO.
You used to be honest when you didn't know things, but your react queen mentality has taken over, especially regarding the Middle East. You've become the Pied Piper for Russian bots and ignorant. You've fallen off, my dude.
The guidance from the State Department, which is to find civilian commercial means to depart.
Once again, I think chatters don't listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth and simply basically respond to what they assume I'm saying.
Israel should retaliate, and what is your concern about this leading to a wider escalation of war in the region?
We've had some initial discussions with the Israelis in the aftermath of this at the military level and also at the White House to Prime Minister's office level. We'll continue those conversations in the hours ahead. I'm not going to prejudge or get ahead of anything. We want to have some deep consultations with the Israelis, and I'll have more to report to you after we get the opportunity for deeper discussions. Obviously, this is a significant escalation by Iran, a significant event. And it is equally significant that we were able to step up with Israel and create a situation in which no one was killed in this attack in Israel, so far as we know at this time. We are now going to look at what the appropriate next steps are to secure, first and foremost, American interests, and then to promote stability to the maximum extent possible as we go forward. Yeah.
He said no civilians and no military hardware. What do you mean he's not lying? Nevatim Air Base is destroyed. Oh, sorry. I thought he said no civilians were harmed in this process. I don't disagree with that. I mean, I don't think that assessment is a lie. Listen, Israel cannot keep it a secret if their civilians fucking die in any kind of attack. And also, it would not even be in their interest to keep that a secret. It would give more righteous cause to whatever the fuck they're going to do next, okay, in retaliation. But in terms of the military hardware, they will absolutely say, oh, nothing happened. We didn't even get a dent. They won't openly admit that their military hardware was destroyed. So, just so you understand, do I believe that there was no military hardware destroyed? I don't necessarily believe that. I think that, you know, if they actually struck targets directly right here, if this footage is correct, and you're going to get like very limited information from Israel on this stuff because like they don't want this kind of information. They do not want this kind of information to be out. Controversial documentation of missile drops. This is from Con News. You don't like Israel does not want wrecked targets. Okay. Israel does not want video footage of direct targets being hit because it absolutely destroys the air of security that they must maintain. Okay. October 7 was obviously devastating for the Israeli consciousness, Israeli psyche in general, because any kind of reminder that Israel is not penetrable shakes the collective psyche and causes people to recalculate how Israel operates in the region, causes Israeli society to recalculate how Israel operates in the region. So what ends up happening in this situation, obviously after October 7, it was an enemy that they know how to fucking deal with, right? It's an enemy that they have destroyed time and time again. It's broadly civilians. It's not like as powerful of a force as Iran is, right? So for them, that was like, oh, these are our, ancient enemies at this point. It's great. We can go and siege Gaza, and we can mow the lawn in these operations that we've conducted time and time again. So people were screaming bloody murder. In terms of going into Lebanon, the calculation is a little different again, because once again, Hezbollah is a more significant military presence with better weapons. They're more combat trained. They are not stuck inside of an open air prison that Israel has designed for the most part. And Iran this is a mistranslation. It doesn't say controversial. It says Arara, which is a Palestinian town in the north. 99% intercepted. I'm a Bedouin Israeli. We don't have bunkers, so I just sat and watched the missiles fall. Yeah, that's the other part of the process, is that like whenever these sorts of things happen, whenever like any sort of retaliation occurs on Israeli soil, obviously the areas where majority, like the densely populated areas where majority Jewish populations reside, are well protected, as opposed to areas, and I've talked about this before in the last Iranian retaliation, like the Bedouin population does not have the same level of safety and coverage, and that's precisely why shrapnel fell on top of a makeshift house that some of the Palestinian citizens of Israel had made for themselves, that ironically the Israeli government actually demolished once again, as they had before. They'll use the Bedouin population to be like, oh, see, like you only got to kill Palestinians, like you don't care about the Palestinians. And they'll use that. They'll only remember the humanity of Palestinian citizens of Israel when it suits their messaging. We saw a similar example of this when Israel said the Al Ahli hospital was actually blown up by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, right? They talked about like all of the Palestinians that died only when it suit their propaganda purpose. All of a sudden, if Palestinians are being killed by Israel, then they're acceptable combat casualties. It's collateral damage. If Palestinians are even suspected to be killed by other Palestinians or the axis of resistance in any capacity, then they're real human beings. And it's really fucked up that like they were killed. In terms of World War III, happening, I feel like war has changed, and like it's not the way that you understand it anymore. It's just like, when is war not happening? You know what I mean? It's always happening. Here are more dozens of ballistic missile impacts in Israel from friend of the show, Elent News. IHL Twitter saying Iran's actions are illegal armed reprisals. While they may be true, the political analysis leads one to believe that a response from Iran to Israel was an unavoidable reaction following Israel's repeated escalations. Curious about your thoughts. Wouldn't it have been feasible for Iran to not react without essentially accepting defeat to Israel? No, when people say Iran has no right to retaliate, they're wrong. I mean, Israel assassinated the principal negotiator on the Palestinian side that was responsible for civil governance, okay? Ismail Haniyeh, on Iranian soil, in direct violation of human rights and in direct violation of Iranian sovereignty. Iran had every right to retaliate to Israel at any point that they chose to do so. It's just that the issue here is that in the way that we analyze it in the Western world, of course, Iran never has a right to retaliate. You can't. You just have to sit there and get pummeled. Yeah, Bedouin unrecognized villages. Time Without an Ovo says Bedouin unrecognized villages are considered open areas by the Iron Dome, so missiles fired towards them are generally not covered. That's about 120,000 citizens completely unprotected. Yeah. International human rights lawyers are saying Iran's actions are illegal armed reprisals. Only the U.S. and its allies cared. That's such a funny response. Yeah, famously, Israel and the United States of America are famous defenders of international humanitarian laws, dude. Famously. For the past 12 months, I was asleep. I just woke up today. This is the first day. Has anything happened that, or was that just like an anti-Semitic attack? I guess that's what happened, right? Just like the top of the hour ad break is anti-Semitic in terms of my delivery of it, you know? The IDF says the Israeli Air Force will attack Middle East tonight in a powerful way. Yeah, anyway, I know I might be fed up false information, but it seems like from the interception of Israel, all of its surrounding countries hates it so bad and attacks it nonstop. So I guess if Israel took Gaza as a part of the country, it would be even worse because they hate Israel. When a nation is at a state like that, wars are kind of inevitable, I think. Dude, from the inception of Israel, surrounding countries hate it so bad. Maybe think about that. Think about it a little bit. Think about it further. Like how Israel became a nation state is exactly why a lot of the other countries in the region think that it is a force of evil in the region. And Israel has given plenty of evidence that, you know, it truly is. Yeah, October 7 and October 1st are the only 2 days on the calendar. I mean, this isn't as big of a considering the fact that you know, the Iranian retaliation was limited to military targets and other areas not often protected by the Iron Dome. I don't think that this is going to be considered in the same vein as like October 7. Pentagon is going live. State Department is saying the quiet part out loud here.
I see a diplomatic.
Oh yeah, this was crazy. This was a crazy fucking admission from Matt Miller. Here.
We've never wanted to see a diplomatic resolution with Hamas.
Well, okay. Well, what about the ceasefire?
We wanted to see a ceasefire, but we have always been committed to the destruction of Hamas. We did want to see a ceasefire, but we have always made clear that we wanted to see a different authority moving forward in.
That's a crazy admission. That's a wild thing. It's not even a fucking slip, by the way. Also, I forgot to run the 3-minute ad break. I'm running it now. Can you explain why they told him they're going to send missiles 12 hours earlier? They always do. That last time they telegraphed it even before. They telegraphed it like 7 days ahead last time they did that. It's like, it's almost like, dude, this is how world powers operate, okay? Like even fucking when Donald Trump dropped the Moab, okay? I think it was in Syria or Afghanistan. We've blown up every goddamn country. When Donald Trump dropped Moab in Afghanistan, even in that situation, there was also some bombing campaigns that occurred in Syria on positions that were Russian. Okay, they gave prior what is the word for it? I mean, it's deconfliction, but it's not actually deconfliction in this situation. There's a different term for it. I'm not like, they always give a heads up. They give prior notice before they drop bombs in an effort to make sure that American weapons are not immediately killing like another powerful nation's military. Okay, because accidents do end up happening regardless of the constant back and forth communication among superpowers, even when they're directly at war or sometimes when they're not at war with one another. Like, heads up is the proper term, buddy. Thank you. Okay. Well, ultimately, everybody communicates with one another before they do these kinds of attacks. The only group that doesn't really communicate ahead of time, or gives like, or doesn't directly target military capabilities, but claims they're directly targeting military capabilities, but is actually targeting like densely populated civilian areas, is Israel. That's just the truth. Okay? Because if any other country operated in the same way that Israel did, considering that our analysis is that Israel is our allies, we know what it looks like when a country operates in the way that Israel does. Russia, you know? That's it. Russia is the perfect example. Russia is the perfect example of what happens when a country that is outside of the scope of American influence and power, that is a regional actor, a regional superpower in its own, in the power that it has, when they operate in a similar capacity to Israel, that is precisely what happens. That is, you know what happens. We don't have to speculate on the American perspective on the matter. We saw exactly what happened. The Biden White House's October surprised its own candidate, a historical first, I think. I don't think it's an October surprise if it's not a surprise at all. You know what I mean? It's an October expectation.
Governance of Gaza. We've never wanted to see a diplomatic.
This feels like 1984 with the way that the wars feel so choreographed and staged. Real but no lasting resolution. Just a war between a few capitals against other capitals. Is that right? I mean, that's how all wars work, but Biden's administration pushed Israel to invade Lebanon despite inhibitions by the Pentagon, according to Politico. I don't think they pushed Israel to invade Lebanon. I think they gave the go-ahead to Israel in invading Lebanon. I saw that. Okay. Have you ever discussed whether you advocate for a two-state or one-state solution? Now's not the time. Something to note is that Hagari just reported IDF soldiers shot on dozens of suspects, which presented a threat in the central Gaza Strip. Injuries were detected. If you want a translation, IDF soldiers most likely massacred a crowd of random civilians. Wait for reports from Gaza. Yeah, I saw some movement on that front. I saw some movement on that front earlier, but I'll wait for further confirmation. But like I said, that is the expected outcome of all of this, is that Israel is one speed. They'll basically go back to punishing people that have no way of defending themselves. That's the one speed they have. Oh yeah, Netanyahu also obviously got a bump because he gave the Israeli population what they wanted, escalations in Lebanon. Chill. But yeah, here, this is U.S. officials quietly backed Israel's military push against Hezbollah. The officials urged caution and stressed the need for diplomacy, but the timing was right for such a military shift, they concluded. Senior White House figures privately told Israel that the U.S. would support its decision to ramp up military pressure against Hezbollah, even as the Biden administration publicly urged the Israeli government in recent weeks to curtail its strikes, according to American and Israeli officials. Presidential advisor Amos Hochstein and Brett McGurk, the White House coordinator for the Middle East, told top Israeli officials in recent weeks that the U.S. agreed with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's broad strategy to shift Israel's military focus to the north against Hezbollah in order to convince the group to engage in diplomatic talks to end the conflict, the officials told Politico. They also said escalation through de-escalation. Not everyone in the administration was on board with Israel's shift, despite support inside the White House, the officials said. The decision to focus on Hezbollah sparked division within the U.S. government, drawing opposition from people inside the Pentagon, State Department, and intelligence community who believed Israel's move against the Iran-backed militia could drag American forces yet into another Middle East conflict. Politico spoke to 2 Israeli and 4 U.S. officials for the story, most of whom were granted anonymity to speak freely about sensitive diplomatic talks. The National Security Council declined to comment. Danny Danon, Israel's ambassador to the UN, declined Monday to comment on private talks between the Israeli leaders and the U.S. officials when asked about Hochstein and others' exchanges. We don't always ask for permission for everything we do, he said, of the 2 countries, adding, I think what they say publicly reflects the goal that they would like to see a diplomatic solution, which we are not against. According to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, announced the destruction of the Israeli Aerosystems radars with Fatah-1 hypersonic missiles, in addition to 3 military bases on the outskirts of Tel Aviv. Always good to remember U.S. Middle East policy is being run by a George W. Bush Iraq guy, Brett McGurk, and a former Israeli soldier, Hochstein. Those are the 2 top Biden aides that were, I guess, quietly saying, no, you have the go-ahead. Which is why I told you that Israel doesn't get to do this stuff without America's knowledge and without America's go-ahead. And sometimes America offers the targets themselves with their surveillance capabilities, okay? So when America says, like, Israel is a sovereign nation, Israel's a sovereign nation, it's operating on its own territorial boundaries, it's operating it's operating on its own interests, is I think an unnuanced position. In mid-September calls and meetings, Israeli officials outlined broadly that their military was preparing to make the shift. They didn't offer details. Hochstein and McGurk relayed to their Israeli counterparts that while they still urged a cautious approach, the timing was likely opportune for such a move, especially after Hezbollah had been significantly degraded in the months prior. Important to note that while Hezbollah had long said it would only engage with Israel if it reaches a ceasefire with Hamas militants it is battling in Gaza, U.S. assessments indicated at that point that Hamas wasn't likely to agree to a ceasefire deal anytime soon, and that it meant it could be a moment to focus more on Hezbollah alone and to decouple the 2 conflicts. So whenever people tell you, like, whenever people bring up, like, Hassan Nasrallah's background, Hezbollah's actions in Syria, or Hezbollah's actions in his domestic affairs, right, inside of Lebanon, understand that it has nothing to do with his assassination. His assassination happened in the hands of the Israeli military in coordination with the American government, specifically because he and the Hezbollah forces presented a deterrence and a threat to Israel's interest in conducting its genocide in Gaza. That is precisely what happened, okay? It was a big boost for Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet in general, Benjamin Netanyahu's personal polling in the nation to change trajectory. It silenced any kind of internal opposition on a ceasefire negotiation. He offered basically like a slab of meat to the Israeli population by bombing Beirut. Okay, are you scared? I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what scared means at this point. These things are completely outside of our control. There's not really anything we can do. All we can do is just stand by and watch and try to make sense of all the senseless bloodshed. But once again, in terms of when we look at the situation that is in front of us, remember that like the conversation completely took a reset when Israel started bombing Beirut. All of a sudden, the very same people that were calling me Hasanabi are now calling me Hezbollah. Okay, that I am once again a terrorism supporter and an Islamist fundamentalist, but now for a different group. Okay, and that's obviously a hyper personal and very specific way to analyze the situation, but you could see similarities with like broad mainstream reception of Israel's actions in the Western world, where immediately they started running the exact same contextualization of the violence. These are Hezbollah targets that were blown up. No mention or rarely any mention of the 300 or now 800 plus Lebanese people that were slaughtered mercilessly in their own fucking apartment buildings in a densely populated area. No mention of the millions of Lebanese people that had to be displaced as Israel now is invading another sovereign nation. Okay, why are you making these conflicts about you? I am using that as a jump off point. It is not to make it about me. And I literally described how I'm not making it about myself at all. I'm using that as a way to communicate to an audience that comes in here and here's what I have to say about these issues so that it's easily understandable. Okay, I'm trying to make it more palatable for people. Okay, unless you are completely fucking brain dead, I think you can understand that. Yeah, a rhetorical device is what I'm doing. Is what I'm using here, okay? And it worked. I mean, it was relatively successful, all things considered. Here's the press briefing by the White House, by the way.
There are multiple events happening all at once, and the president is going to continue certainly to deal with.
Okay, let's hear what Pentagon is saying.
Essentially, a follow-up to that question: is the U.S. willing to strike Iran in response to this? Are you putting that on or off the table?
Well, look, Garnett, again, I don't want to get into hypotheticals. I think I was very clear at the top that should U.S. forces be targeted by Iran or its proxies, we'll take necessary steps to defend our people. And I think we've also been very clear that we're going to support the defense of Israel. And so I'm not going to get into theoretical or speculative operations at this stage, other than to say, we mean what we say and we say what we mean. And then
a follow-up question. Iran claims to have used a new Fatah missile, which is supposed to be a hypersonic ballistic missile. Can you assess whether they did use new and advanced weaponry in this attack and whether they learned from the April attack?
Again, we're still assessing the attack and the outcomes. And so, we may have more to provide later, but I don't have anything on that right now. Dan.
Thanks for your time. Two questions, please. On Secretary Austin's statement last night, he referred to being supportive of operations along the border. Is he open to Israel using operations on both sides of the border? Along the border was a little vague there.
Well, I think I'd go back to how I responded to Joseph, right? We understand and support Israel's right to defend itself against Hezbollah, as we highlighted in the readout. We understand that part of that is dismantling some of the attack infrastructure that Hezbollah has built along the border. Certainly, again, we don't want to see this, broaden into a wider regional conflict, but we understand, again, that what Israel is doing are limited operations to destroy that attack infrastructure and then enable citizens on both sides of the border to return home. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we do think that a diplomatic resolution is the only way to achieve lasting stability and security across the Israel-Lebanon border. So, we're going to continue to work to that end. But we also, again, understand Israel's need to defend itself.
And then a follow. The State Department read out a report on an attack on diplomatic facility at Baghdad Airport last night. Have you seen any other attacks on U.S. forces, I guess, since Friday? This one would seem to be on a diplomatic facility, but be it in the last day, particularly at this heightened time of tension, or just broadly over the last couple of days?
Yeah, as of right now, I'm not aware of any additional attacks. Thanks, sir.
The Iron Dome, how effective is it against ballistic missiles? And some of the televised images appeared to show some of them landing on infrastructure. Are you aware of that? In general, was this attack more effective than the Iranian attack in April?
Again, understanding that a lot is still very initial. As I highlighted, initial indications are that there was minimal damage on the ground. In terms of the specifics, though, I'd have to refer you to Israel really to talk through that. And again, as more information comes in, we'll certainly know more. But the initial assessment is that Israel was able to successfully defend itself, of course, with the support from the U.S. And so, again, we may have more later on that. Helene?
Thanks, Pat. I just want to be clear because it seems like we're at a very dangerous time where any kind of ambiguity from the U.S. could lead to an attack on American troops. And when you say I understand when you say that we're going to defend any attack at American troops. I also understand that that you said that no American troops were hurt. Therefore, are you saying the U.S. is not planning on a kinetic strike against Iran? Because right now,
we'll stress again that the Hamas-Hezbollah partnership only started after the second Rabin administration kidnapped and deported hundreds of Hamas activists, Ismail Haniyeh among them, across the Lebanese border in 1994. We'll also remind people that in 1992, Israel assassinated Hezbollah General Secretary Abbas Mousawi, replaced by Nasrallah shortly after. God, it seems like maybe this more force thing is not the solution to literally everything. Yeah, one thing I want to also point out is that this is didn't get a lot of coverage, but Israel obviously doesn't just assassinate the Islamist fundamentalists leading the fucking helm in the resistance groups, okay? A lot of people will be like, oh, these are not good guys, Hassan. And it's like, yeah, you want to know why? Because Israel killed all the fucking good guys that weren't even fighting against Israel. Like Ghassan Kanafini, who is not even a person that fucking held a weapon at any point. And him and his entire family were fucking ruthlessly slaughtered by Israel. Israel also literally fucking assassinated on the 29th of September multiple PFLP and DFLP commanders that were not participating in the fucking strikes on northern Israel at all. They were assassinated because they were Palestinian leaders living in Lebanon. And it didn't even get any fucking coverage. When people go, oh my God, why aren't there any secular Marxist leaders or whatever? It's because Israel kills them all the fucking time. Okay? The only ones who end up surviving this kind of shit happen to be some of the biggest fundamentalists.
Where does Iran stand now?
You don't get to choose who gets to resist against Israel's incredibly violent, increasingly bloodthirsty actions.
I mean, that's really
it's just Israel is setting the standard
for Iran. As evidenced by this attack, they certainly maintain the capability to conduct additional attacks.
Cope from Hassan.
As I highlighted at the top.
If your understanding of complex geopolitical things that are happening in real time and all the death and destruction that is accompanying that in real time is just cope of a Twitch streamer or something, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Just open up your fucking eyes to the reality,
you know? Have to be prepared in that eventuality.
It's weird.
I think you said earlier this is twice the size.
It's a very weird way to look at and interpret events.
Yeah, it's about twice as large in terms of the number of ballistic missiles that they launched from the last.
Do you believe it was their intent to actually do damage this time?
Well, look, you don't launch that many missiles at a target without the intent of hitting something. So absolutely, just like the last time, their intent is to cause destruction. And so, fortunately, Israel has very significant air defense capabilities, and the U.S., of course, played a role in helping on that front as well. Thank you. Matt?
Thanks, Pat. You said there have been no new attacks on U.S. forces in the region, but is the department tracking a greater threat now to U.S. forces, and are you taking any extra measures on top of the recent plus-ups you've done for force protection?
Well, Matt, I mean, as you know, we're always taking force protection very seriously. We're all very well aware of the heightened tensions in the region, and U.S. Central Command has been, for a long time now, constantly assessing and reassessing the threat to ensure that our forces are protected. like I mentioned, I'm not aware, as I come to the podium, I'm not aware of any additional attacks beyond the one that that Dan mentioned, but it's something that we'll obviously be, keeping a close eye on to protect our forces.
Secondly, were there any other nations other than the United States and Israel who took part in intercepting missiles or helping to track them or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't have anything to provide on that, and obviously I wouldn't speak for other countries from here. Yes, sir.
Moin Rabbani, Trita Parsi, Finkelstein, and other regional experts have said that Israel is bent on war with Iran during this election cycle and Biden's lame duck period. I expect they'll take this opportunity to bring that to fruition. Yes. Part of the reason I think that Iran has been insanely restrained, and this is not just my estimation. I know people will say like, oh, Hassan, you're fucking biased in the matter or whatever. This is the estimation of like the American State Department as well, in terms of its like Iranian retaliation to Israel violating its sovereignty on a regular fucking basis as well. I'll say this much. I think it's partially because they did not want to hand Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel the thing that they want the most, which is basically, fuck, sorry, I'm all over the place today. A lot is going on. Which is basically a war with Iran. Okay. If Iran strikes civilian targets and does like October 7 level damage with hypersonic missiles that obviously are capable of penetrating Arrow 1 through 3, David Sling, and the entirety of Israel's anti-missile defense systems, like if they are able to target a military facility, they're able to fucking hit Tel Aviv. You understand that, right? Like, please understand this. If they are able to hit directly Israeli military facilities that are near Tel Aviv, that means they can fucking hit Tel Aviv. That means they can kill civilians in the same way that Israel does on a regular fucking basis. Okay? Recognize this reality, please. There is a reason why they're not doing that and targeting military facilities and impacting military facilities instead. Okay? The reason is because they are still worried about if they kill a bunch of Israeli civilians, then a big war, the thing that they're worried with American military joining the conflict and greatly escalating it into a full-blown regional war with Iran will occur. I think that is partially what Israel wants to do. That is partially what Israel wants to do, basically. I think that's what they've been gearing towards for years and years. What is this? Khrushchev didn't want to reveal the nukes in Cuba till after the election because he didn't want the Republicans in because they were more anti-communist. With Michigan having 3x the Lebanese population of Palestinians, is this going to be a cherry on top to losing Michigan? I don't know. It depends. I wouldn't. The Lebanese situation with respect to Hezbollah is more complicated than you think. I mean, I think there's plenty of Lebanese people who are going to be upset that America is allowing Israel to pummel Beirut, but it depends on what the demographic makeup looks like. If they are, if it's the Christian Lebanese population, they might not. They might actually cherish this attack. You know what I mean? They might actually think that this was good because, once again, they also are not exactly fond of Hezbollah. But the internal Michigan polls look really bad. My understanding is that Michigan was literally mourning of Nasrallah. It's the biggest Shia population in America. Scoop, Slock warned donors last week that internal polling for her Senate campaign shows Vice President Kamala Harris is underwater in Michigan, according to a video clip. I'm not feeling my best right now about where we are on Kamala Harris in a place like Michigan, she said. Yeah, the Phoenicians. But the King Phoenician spoke on this recently. And he had it was shocking to hear from what's his name, Nassim Talib. He was very upset with Israel, and he's Mr. I'm Phoenician, I'm not Arab. So Michigan's Lebanese population is larger than its Arab population in general. I mean, yeah, Nicholas Nassim Talib. I think, the way I see it is like a lot of the Christian Lebanese population living outside of Lebanon, see their family villages, their Christian homes of their Christian family members also being bombed in the same way, with no distinction between like Shia or Christian or Sunni Muslim Lebanese populations. and recognize that Israel is still in the wrong for doing this, and recognize that America is allowing Israel to do all of this. So I suspect that they're probably not too fond of it. It's like Capri Sun Poppy's dad comes to mind, you know? Chief of Staff Major General Herzi Halevi at the end of the situation assessment, we've proved our ability to prevent the enemy from achieving by combining exemplary civil behavior with a very strong air defense system. We will choose when to collect the price and prove our precise and surprising attack capabilities in accordance with the guidance of the political echelon.
So it's less about the platform and it's more about the capability. And so, again, we still maintain a robust capability to be able to respond to any potential future threats as well.
And I just want to follow up on what Helene was asking, which was important in the sense, I think you said a red line that if Iran or its forces were to attack U.S. troops,
you know nothing about
there would
Arab
be a U.S.
Christians? I refer my commentary to my Arab Christian friend instead, okay? I don't know. Dave Ashraf. He's saying they are bombing the Christian areas right now in Lebanon. It's flipping people. My far-right cousins are now saying, fuck Israel.
Keep an eye on. We certainly hope that there's not another attack, but obviously Iran maintains a capability, and it's just demonstrated that they're willing to use it to directly attack Israel. And so we're going to continue to consult closely with Israel on next steps, and importantly on the defense of Israel. So,
on Israel's limited incursion, have they provided any?
I just personally think that like it doesn't really matter what your fucking creed or your ethnic background or your religion is. When someone is blowing your fucking house up, you're probably going to hate that person, okay, regardless. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what I think. I may be controversial, I don't know, but like usually when someone is blowing your fucking house up, you're going to be like, "Hey, I no longer feel like my hatred for this other political group that I have warred against in the past
in the afternoon
is
in
warranted
Washington. We've
in
been hearing the
comparison
past
to the
hour
big bad that is blowing my house up currently."
From the U.S., we were hearing there from the Pentagon. We've also
that's
been
what
hearing
happens.
from the State Department and the White House as well. Pat Ryder there, the spokesman of the Pentagon, was giving some details of the U.S.'s awareness, preparedness, and involvement in fending off the Iranian attack, which happened just around 3 hours ago now. A launch of some 300 missiles
Eastern
from
time
Iran.
today, Iran launched nearly 200.
State Department, it seems like they don't like it. I'm shocked to hear from Matt Miller about a bombing campaign. Turns out there is a bombing campaign that he doesn't like. I didn't realize that was the case, because for the past 12 months, he's just been defending all the bombing campaigns in general, so it's shocking.
Ballistic missiles against a number of targets in Israel. The United States once again came to Israel's defense against these attacks, just as we participated in Israel's defense when Iran launched its April 13th attack. Our initial assessment is that Israel, with direct assistance from the United States and its partners, was able to successfully defeat this attack. This was a brazen, unacceptable attack by Iran, and every nation in the world must join us in condemning it. Secretary Blinken joined President Biden, Vice President Harris, and other members of the President's national security team in monitoring this attack as it was unfolding, as well as our response. As the President has made clear, our support for Israel's security is ironclad.
I mean, where was this kind of smoke when Israel blew up Beirut, dude? With American weapons, mind you. I never saw that. Like that happened literally like 6 days ago, 7 days ago. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Those were civilian buildings that they took down, 6 of them. That's wild.
We will continue to stand with the people of Israel at this critical moment. With that, starting around 12:30 Eastern time today, Iran launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles against a number of targets in Israel. The United States once again came to Israel's defense against these attacks, just as we participated in Israel's defense when Iran launched its April 13th.
Is anything about what is anything Israel's done in the last few weeks escalatory? Audio's so bad.
So certainly they have done things to expand the conflict. But if you look at the actions that they have taken, they were bringing terrorists to justice. Terrorists who have.
Oh, shit, dude. Goddamn. I didn't realize Israel was bringing terrorists to justice. Thank God for all the fucking terrorist children that they killed in Beirut. all of those fucking terrorist kids. Thank God that they're bringing terrorists to justice. Oh, okay.
Launched attacks on Israeli civilians. If you look at what Iran did today, we've been warning for some time about the threat posed by Iran arming and funding terrorist groups across the Middle East. And the attack today just demonstrated the danger of those actions. What you saw was Iran launching a state-on-state attack to protect and defend the terrorist groups that it has built, nurtured, and that it controls. So there is a difference between the actions that we have seen Israel take to defend its civilians and what we see. What we've seen is from Iran take.
They are equivalent. I just wanted to make sure.
No, we have certainly seen we've certainly seen Israel expand the nature of its attacks.
Yeah, it's not an escalation; it's an expansion. You know what's even funnier? America's trained Lebanese and even armed them. I know people trained in America to fight terrorists. Yeah, I don't think those guys are in Hezbollah though. I think that that's a part of the Lebanese armed forces that retreated beyond the UN line before Israel invaded Lebanon. Irony, of course, is that like it's not equivalent because once again, it's not equivalent at all. You want to know why it's not equivalent? Because Israel gets to kill as many civilians as it wants. Okay, there is an endless appetite for that kind of destruction. Okay, Israel can invade whatever country it wants. Israel can take down as many fucking civilian buildings in a densely populated area. Okay, America will always defend it as you are watching them defend it. Okay, so of course, any kind of retaliation that comes back to Israel has to be very calculated and very careful. And even then, it will be met with an incredible escalation.
Against Hezbollah, but is a very different type of attack than what we saw today from a state actor against another state.
Okay.
Anyway, pretty sure we were hoping they'd be able to secure the full coastline much sooner than this. They didn't want to have to defend this for a year. I mean, the interesting part about this is that the alternative solution is one that like the overwhelming majority of Americans want. It's the UN Security Council's, it's the UN General Assembly's wishes. Like it's literally the simplest solution, which is to do a ceasefire in Gaza, to stop doing a genocide in Gaza. It is literally that simple. Ansar Allah has said that they would end the blockade in the Red Sea. Hezbollah since October 8 has said that they would no longer be bombing. They would no longer be bombing northern Israel if Israel stopped pummeling Gaza. Like everyone has said that. And it's crazy because so did the American government. The American government has claimed that they want this to happen. The ceasefire, I mean. Yeah, this is also here. We found, yeah, I mean, this is from the Times of Israel. We later found out that Hamas had offered on October 9 or 10 to release all the civilian hostages in exchange for the IDF not entering the Strip, but the government rejected the offer. This is Israel's like George W. Bush, we won't negotiate with terrorists moment, you know? Sorry, events were set in motion. We have an appetite for death and destruction. Of course, I reported on it at the time. It doesn't really matter. They're going to do what they're going to do, you know? There's nothing you can do about it.
Not to drag the entire region into a full-fledged all-out war scenario. And the second statement considers this attack 90% successful. This is what we see in the statement. They say 90% of the missiles have hit their targets in an operation that they call True Promise 2. And the True Promise 1 refers to the operation that they did in April in response to another round of hostile behaviors by the Israelis. And also, we see in this statement about some details on the nature of this and the weapons used in this attack, which is basically a Fatah hypersonic let's say, missile that has been used in this attack. It is used for the first time. It was revealed last year by IRGC, and now they're just having a real test fire of that. And they are putting emphasis that they used it to sort of strike 3 air bases of the Israelis in which they kept F-35 and F-15 fighters. These fighters were, according to Iranian reports, used to conduct the attack, the latest attack in which...
Bro, I don't know why Israel... I'm going to be honest with you. I've noticed that you had less Hasbara boss chirping in the chat. Are they on leave right now? Yeah, maybe one of the headquarters blew up or something, so they don't have the bots. You draw Arab Christians in a bad light. There's no beef between Muslims and Christians when it comes to their country or neighbors. Wait, what? No, dude, no. I'm talking to Americans, chatter. Come on. Americans have no way of understanding that like people are not monolithic in the region, okay? I'm just saying that there are going to be people that fucking don't like, or if you hear from a Lebanese person that's like, no, I actually do appreciate Israel blowing up Lebanon, I'm telling them that like there is a likelihood that they are, potentially a Christian Lebanese person with of a different mindset, even though that mindset is now becoming the minority, especially when they have family members that are still in Lebanon whose family homes are being bombed. So
destroyers. Now, the Wasp Marine Amphibious Group is in the eastern Mediterranean. It has units of highly trained Marines and landing ships that can be used as mobile command centres and as well for evacuation. 3 expeditionary wings as well, containing bombers, stealth fighters and fighter jets are based here in Qatar, the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait. We've also got the US Fifth Fleet based in Bahrain, and that operates in the Gulf. Now, its missile cruisers and destroyers are able to shoot down missiles. Let's bring in our defence editor, Alex Gotopoulos. He joins us now. And indeed, we did just hear from the Pentagon saying that 2 Navy destroyers of the US shot down some of these latest ballistic missiles that were sent from Iran.
Yes, that's right. They said they launched 12 interceptors towards the missiles. How many of them intercepted those missiles, we don't know. But even if all 12 of them destroyed Iranian missiles, that was still left.
It seems to me like hypersonic missiles have been a real game changer in the way that conflicts occur around the world, by the way. It seems to me like the defense capabilities are nowhere near matched with the offensive capabilities when hypersonic missiles are in play.
Combat proven. It has vast amounts of money poured into it, both from Israel and from the United States. But it's proven technology. It's only just come into existence in the last few years. It's very tricky. It's like
I need to remind people, okay? I need to remind people of something. If they have the capability of striking targets inside of Tel Aviv, inside of the entirety of the Israeli defense capabilities, that means they have the capabilities of targeting, blocks of crowded residential buildings.
Actually is being fired, because again we heard from the Pentagon that
the reason why they are not doing that matters, okay? You must understand why they are not doing that, okay? Look, like this is literally in the outskirts, the northern outskirts of Tel Aviv. This is Eric Toller of the New York Times. An Iranian missile exploded near the Mossad headquarters located on the northern outskirts of Tel Aviv. Rough map of the video's perspective and approximate site of explosion. They are still refusing to hit direct, like crowded civilian areas and keeping their strikes to military targets. Okay? Israel has significantly better targeting capabilities than Iran does, because Israel flies their planes and drops bombs directly on targets. Israel is blowing up areas where there are no anti-air defense systems, okay? Iranians are not using F-15 fighter jets and flying directly over Israeli airspace and targeting these fucking areas in the same way. And even then, despite the limitations of their targeting capabilities, they're still showcasing their ability to penetrate the Iron Dome. They're showcasing their ability to cut through Israeli air defenses. This is significant. That is the message here.
Small-scale rockets. It's at that lower level, which is, small-scale rockets, Katyushas, these sorts of things that are fired at barrages. Then you have the next layer that will deal with more medium-range missiles, and that's the Barak 8, which is the Israeli version of the Patriot, actually supposedly better than the Patriot system, and then major stuff coming over from Iran in this case. So I would have thought a lot of Arrow 3 missiles and Barak 8 missiles would have been fired to intercept this. This would have been these top 2 tiers of Israel's multi-layered air defense systems that would have gone into action.
Fascinating stuff. Very good to get your analysis and your insights there on the actual military capability of Israel, which is huge, especially when coupled with the US's in the region. Many thanks, Alex. Well, there have been scenes of celebrations across Gaza and indeed in other places across the Middle East in response to the Iranian missiles fired at Israel. People in Gaza came out onto the streets as the missiles were seen flying overhead, going into Israel. Tarek Abu Azoum is in Deir al-Balah for us in central Gaza. He's joining us now on the phone. Tarek, talk us through the atmosphere there in Deir al-Balah.
Why would Iran show restraint when Israel is escalating? Well, Israel didn't. Like, Israel also had a relatively restrained approach after the first Iranian retaliation. So that's probably their expectation.
Repeated provocative attacks on Lebanon and Iran, including the latest assassination of Hamas's top leader, Ismail Haniyeh, and the assassination of Hezbollah's top leader, Hassan Nasrallah. So people of Gaza generally saw the Iranian ballistic missiles from these separate areas in the Strip flying over Gaza, heading to the Israeli...
Wow, I can't believe the civilian children that have been fucking blown to bits for the past 12 months were celebrating the occupation incurring any penalty whatsoever. That's shocking to me.
That will have great
How uncivilized of them.
On Israel. And I need to point out that following the Iranian retaliation, Israeli fighter jets
How dare they?
in Gaza were mobilized and started
fuck are
to
they
fly
supposed to do? They got nothing.
in a very low altitude and slow over the sky of the Gaza Strip as a part of a preparation against any possible military move might be taken by Hamas or any Palestinian armed groups in the Gaza Strip. They attacked, in fact, in the past couple of hours, anyone who's moving close to Netzarim corridor, and there was more growing state of alert from the Israeli occupation.
It's because they're, I think they're celebrating because they're anti-Semitic and they hate the most moral army and the most moral, the only democracy in the world, honestly.
But people generally understand that.
That's what it is, I think.
Trigger more huge Israeli response to that attack, which can really give a clear sign that the entire region is on a knife edge that can lead to a very all-out war in the entire area here.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that Israel has been carrying out intimidating actions over Gaza.
Don't the civilian population of Gaza know that Israel is carrying out its genocide in the most moral ways possible? I'm shocked, horrified at the display.
Attacks are going on, airstrikes are going on Gaza on a daily basis. The casualty numbers are huge there. 41,600 people killed in a year of fighting. I suppose with the war now broadening out into Lebanon, with it potentially broadening even further, as you say, into a regional event, do the people of...
This is wild. Palestinians in Ramallah are posing for selfies on an Iranian missile. That's crazy. Dude, they got nothing else going on, you know?
Now, Israel is so keen to transfer the center of gravity to the northern front, especially to borders with Lebanon, in order to just take Lebanon as a proper distraction of what's going on here in the Strip. As we have been observing in the course of the past few weeks, that there has been no significant change in the Israeli military strategy. There have been a very remarkable escalation in such attacks. For example, today they have been hitting Al Mawasi area alongside with a number of residential homes that were completely hit down across the Strip. Day by day, the humanitarian situation.
Another wild video from Palestine of a man lighting the debris of an Iranian. What? This is from Jordan. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's from Jordan.
أبو حمزة ولع سكارة من الصاروخ. سكارته من الصاروخ. مشان يقولوا إذا قلت إني ولعت من صاروخ.
That's insane, dude. Cancer? I mean, that's double cancer, I think, at that point. But I don't think that motherfucker gives a shit, dude. Iran also hit inside the Netzarim. Wait, really? A video I documented a short while ago from the northern Gaza Strip showing Iranian missiles falling on the Netzarim axis in the central Gaza Strip and violent explosions occurring. I mean, I don't know if this is confirmed or not. That's an old video. People claim he's Jordanian. Zon, you were all right about it. It's like post 9/11 hysteria in the news. Yes. Just another day in the life, innit? Yeah, just dudes being dudes, man. That is from Jordan, and he lit his smoke with it because that was the booster and the rocket was blessed. Yeah, See this one, stay on the specific update. A missile fell between the homes in a Palestinian village in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, but it appears it didn't explode. According to the residents, Faraz al-Hawari, a resident, said he didn't hear a blast. It sounded like something heavy fell out of the sky, but there was no boom. Hawari, 27, said in an interview from the village Azun. So I assume that some of their missiles are, some of the missiles failed. Like, I don't suspect that this was, I'm not educated on this, but where does it go from here? Is it really bad? I mean, it's really bad already. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Large-scale attack of over 180. Iran launched a large-scale attack of over 180 ballistic missiles directly from Iranian soil at the state of Israel. There were a small number of hits in the center of Israel and some other hits in the southern Israel. The majority of the incoming missiles were intercepted by Israel and a defensive coalition led by the United States. Iran's attack is a severe and dangerous escalation. There will be consequences. Our defensive and offensive capabilities are at the highest levels of readiness. Our operational...
Oh, Elant says that's an EMAD ballistic missile. The warhead is detached. Oh, so that was like the booster that fell. Absolute demolition of the Tefnov airbase near Tel Aviv. Jesus fucking Christ. Elant, is this correct? Does this look right to you? Elant News? This right here? You said yeah to the earlier question I had. Yeah, the idea that 99% of missiles were intercepted is also fucking insane. Like, that is just, I'm sorry, but that's just straight up propaganda, I think. I mean, that's like we have seen more than 2 missiles strike direct Israeli targets at this point. So if there's more than 2 or 3 missiles that you have seen, then they did not intercept 99%. Okay, 180 missiles. They've definitely struck more than 3 times. Okay, they shot 180 missiles. They didn't shoot 180,000. Yeah, there were impacts near Netzidim for sure, possibly Tel Naf, but these could be in open areas near the runway. Isn't there secondary impact though? Look, like secondary explosions? Maybe not. Because that seems like a different missile. It's going to take a while for us to... Whoa. It's going to take a while for us to fully understand the scope of the damage. But so far, what we know is important to remember, Arrow also predicts where missiles will land like Iron Dome. So won't intercept falls in open areas. I think they're just more impacts. Yeah, it's not secondary. I think it is different impacts. Yeah. I think I heard on Israeli TV that the number of intercepts won't be shown. I think I heard on Israeli TV that the number of intercepts is not to be shown publicly due to strategic reasons or whatever. I don't know where they heard the 99% stat. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, no, they will not tell people what the actual assessment of the damage is. It is not in their strategic interest to do so, because once again, if military targets were struck and military hardware was destroyed, okay, there are ways of finding that out. Eric Toller and other people at the visual investigations team at the New York Times and visual forensics at Washington Post will scour through all of this data and they will find this information. Okay. Having said that, however, the Israeli government won't openly admit that. The reasons for why they won't openly admit that is because that means that there were obviously missiles that were not intercepted that hit targets directly. If Iran has the capabilities of piercing through all of Israelis' anti-missile systems, okay, why would you trust the New York Times? There are definitely still journalists I trust at the New York Times, okay? Don't be ridiculous. What do I always tell you? New York Times might be biased and wants to do the bidding of America's State Department interests, but they still also have a responsibility to come across as an impartial observer, and they still have to have the veneer of objective reporting. They will not have credibility if they don't have that. Lamau, okay, dude. They're a Zionist rag. Lamau, okay, dude. All right, well, I guess you know better than I do on this. You're right. I should just stop using New York Times for coverage. Thank you, Enchilada. Kids, children are injured and dying. What the fuck? This is horrific. What are you talking about? Like, if you're meaning Gaza, yes. Or in Lebanon, yes. But if you're talking about Israel, no such reporting has taken place thus far.
We're told a major escalation, the damage, the casualties certainly could have been far worse.
Israel says it will
The
respond.
major escalation is the 3-minute ad break coming for you right now. And unlike David Sling, you can actually avoid it by subscribing for
There's no
well,
question,
it's
there will
$6
be a
now because
military
September's
response.
over,
The
or for
IDF
free with a
been
Twitch
quite
Prime
public about that. There's going to be a
by
cabinet
connecting your
meeting
Amazon
this
Prime
evening.
account to your
The only
Twitch
question
account.
becomes
Here's the 3-minute
target.
ad break now. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky.
Include Iran? And the thinking is very likely yes. Then the question becomes what exactly in Iran and how extensively. You remember in April, following Iran's previous missile, and in that case it was also a drone attack, Israel did respond, though with only one missile strike on one installation near Isfahan, which is the site of one of the nuclear facilities, but on a missile defense battery there. This response, given the size of this attack, is likely to be larger. The question really is where, how extensively, and the biggest burning question, I would say, Jake, would be, do Israel's targets include Iran's nuclear facilities? Because that would be quite an escalation, and one that you, well, listen, in the cycle that we've been locked in for some time, one that you would expect Iran to then retaliate in kind.
Yeah, I also think a big question out there is what is the U.S. going to do? The U.S. government warned before the attack that the attack would carry, quote, severe consequences for Iran if they actually carried it out. What are you hearing about a possible United States response?
So the U.S. response to the April attack was sanctions, a favorite tool of this administration, both for Iran, for Russia, for China. The Pentagon spokesperson was asked repeatedly, would there be a U.S. military response? Personally, I find that unlikely that the U.S. would militarily respond. The U.S. footing has been defend Israel, certainly in missile attacks, back in most circumstances Israel's right, certainly to defend itself in all circumstances, but back Israel's ability to strike back with some caveats and some encouragement not to escalate. But I think a U.S. participation in an Israeli strike on Iran in particular is highly unlikely, because the U.S. goal throughout the last almost 12 months now, since October 7th, has been to try to keep this war from expanding, and cajoling all the sides, and not just Israel, cajoling Iran, sometimes via intermediaries, to prevent a further escalation. So, is it further sanctions? Possible. A military strike on Iran seems far-fetched.
All right, Jim Sciutto in Tel Aviv, Israel. Thank you so much. Let's bring in Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani. He's a spokesperson for the Israeli military. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us about the scope of Iran's attack today? Do you expect more strikes, and do you have any reports on casualties?
Well, Jake, thanks for having me. Approximately at 7:30 local time, Iran carried out an attack of 180 ballistic missiles from Iranian soil towards Israel, basically sending the whole of Israel into bomb shelters, talking about almost 10 million people running to bomb shelters to hide. I am currently in the scene of one of the places where shrapnel from these huge ballistic missiles hit. And I can tell you, our aerial defense system, alongside with our partners, the U.S. and other allies, were able to thwart most of these missiles, but not all of them. There have been some hits in central Israel and some hits in southern Israel. And this is one of the largest and most outrageous attacks by this Iranian terror regime, dragging the region into wider escalation, trying to push us into wider escalation with this unprecedented attack against Israel.
What can you tell us about how Israel is going to respond?
Well, Israel is a sovereign country. We have our right to defend ourselves. We have the right to protect ourselves against these kinds of attacks, and there will be consequences to this attack. And we showed just a few days our ability to strike precisely and fiercely 1,500 miles from Israel when we attacked the Houthis in Yemen, and we have the abilities to, and we will choose the time and place and the way we will respond to this.
Bro, this is directly a rip-off of the Iranian retaliation statement ahead of time. They literally said the exact
Lieutenant Colonel,
same
what can you tell
thing.
us about any casualties?
It's so
Jim
funny
Sciutto
because
mentioned.
they just keep going tit for tat on this, where they're like, the Iranian regime will be like, the Zionist entity has violated our sovereignty. We're a sovereign nation. We will choose the time and place and retaliate in kind.
Jeez.
Well, this large-scale attack happened just recently. We're still assessing the situation. I can tell you in the moment we know of.
Hassan, don't worry. The Rockets didn't take out this chatter. My family and I are safe. I will tune into the stream for the protest next week just for you over from Tel Aviv.
In the area of.
Good luck, chatter. I heard that your government literally made it illegal to have any kind of gatherings that are over 1,000 people. So I wonder why the Israeli government made such a decision after bombing Beirut. Perhaps it suits a very important goal for the Israeli government. I mean, good luck. Good luck to you. Good luck to you, chatter. It's definitely not looking too great. But as far as I understand, they have decided, listen, I'm just a visitor. Well, you know, still, good luck. Be safe. But yeah, like I said, the Israeli government has decided that you cannot have gatherings of over, I think, 1,000. But someone in the chat said 300 now. Yeah, it's probably just a public safety concern, nothing else. No like ceasefire, hostage release protests or anything like that.
According to what the political echelon decides, and there will be consequences to this outrageous attack by Iran. This escalatory, historic move by Iran, there will be escalations to that. We will respond, and we will choose the time and place to respond precisely but fiercely.
First map I've seen confirming the strikes
I have heard
landing.
analysts say
this is good.
that Iran does not actually want to escalate matters, and the proof of that, according to this argument, which I am not making, is that
Don't be afraid, Jake. Say it.
casualties are so low and so few of these missiles hit. Respond to that analysis, if you would.
Well, Jake, the amount of ballistic, I'm talking one ballistic missile can take down a skyscraper. We're talking about 180.
So why didn't they hit any skyscrapers? Why did the fucking impacts only occur on military bases then? I don't know. I think this is a statement to be like, listen, we can hit fucking Tel Aviv.
Is one, the people of Israel hiding in shelters for over an hour, into this presentation of aerial defense by Israel and the U.S. I think one of the most advanced aerial
is kind of cooking
defense
today with the
operations
links.
in the world. And still, there were hits in Israel. We're still assessing the situation. Still, people were injured. People were killed by this attack. And you do not do an attack that is not an escalatory move with 180 ballistic missiles. I'll tell you this. No other country in the world would accept 10 ballistic missiles. And I can't imagine anyone taking 180 ballistic missiles
Yeah, bro, no country in the Middle East would accept it. Yeah, no shit. That's kind of the point. That's literally the point of the retaliation. Exactly. Like, what do you mean? That's a great assessment. Thank you, General. Thank you, with a noticeable Wisconsin accent over here from
hurt and harm and
Israeli
kill
Andy.
civilians.
IDF International spokesperson, Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani, thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel,
Thanks for having
General,
me, Jake.
Brigadier, Rear Admiral from
Joining
Wisconsin.
us now, former Secretary of Defense here in the United States, former Senator from
Look at
Maine,
this
William
dude.
Cohen. Secretary Cohen, once we know the full scale of the damage in Israel, how involved do you expect the United States to be in whatever comes next?
Well, it all depends on how the Israelis bring us into their planning. The Biden administration apparently was caught by surprise in terms of the attack and the elimination of Nasrallah. I think that the president probably expressed his concern about that.
Yeah, I'm noticing something here. Did CNN have like any Lebanese militants or Hezbollah spokespersons or any Lebanese people that were directly impacted by the attack to be like, hey, this is unconscionable? Because I don't remember that. Maybe I'm wrong. If anything, they had like Lebanese Americans that were like, no, this was super sick, actually. I work for the CIA. And as a Lebanese man, I think it's great that Israel blew up Beirut. So it's weird. It's just strange to me that, I don't know, it's just strange to me that the dynamic is very different
Weak
here.
if they hadn't responded, and now look weak that they have. So I think that these...
Okay. Before I began, I wanted to say a few words about Iran's
Biden's
missile
comments.
attack on Israel today.
They just cut him
At my
directly.
direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel, and we're still assessing the impact. But based on what we know now, the attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. And this is testament to Israeli military capability and U.S. military. It's also a testament to intensive planning between the United States and Israel to anticipate and defend against the brazen attack we expected. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel. And I've been spent the morning and part of the afternoon in the Situation Room, and meeting with my whole national security team, consulting with the Israelis indirectly because in terms of their impact on us. And the national security team has been, as I said, in constant contact with Israeli officials and their counterparts, and is going to continue to be brought to me throughout the day. We still have to share updates, and when we get them, and we will do that. And now I want to turn to what we're going to be talking about today. The damage done by this horrible hurricane. My top priority, and I mean,
is defending Israel.
All right, President Biden there talking about what happened there.
He said, my top priority is defending Israel, okay? Sucks to suck, hurricane victims.
Back to get him to Secretary Cohen. I'm so sorry. We got preempted there by a rolling tape from the White House. But there you have President Biden commenting on what happened. U.S. officials, as you know, have been pushing a ceasefire. But it does not seem like those efforts have come to fruition in any way. You alluded to the fact that planes were in the air for the Israeli.
The Times of Israel says that they didn't give a prior warning. No, they did. But I think the prior warning was not communicated like hours ahead of time or days ahead of time like the last time. This time it was very quick. That was different.
That things can be...
Also, what do you mean they didn't give prior warning? Biden just said, we knew that this was coming. Like, what do you mean? It is such a bad look to be defending attacks on civilian centers while the barbaric enemy is targeting actually military assets. What in the actual fuck, dude? Wait, what? I can't tell what you're trying to say here. You could literally be... This could be in defense of Israel or against Israel. It's actually... It's such a crazy situation because, like... I just genuinely don't understand.
Think seriously about whether now was the time to launch a military attack against the Iranians. We'll have to wait and see. I think that's why President Biden is right. Please have him interrupt me anytime in the future. But I think he's absolutely right to say that we need to be in very close touch with the Israelis at this point. No more surprises. We need to be in full consultation and part of any operation that might involve the United States being attacked, either our soldiers and airmen over in the region, or possibly if Iran should strike here in the United States through asymmetric means, through acts of terror in soft targets in Europe, in the United States, and elsewhere. So we have to be very concerned about that.
Former Defense Secretary and Maine Senator William Cohen, always an honor to have you on the show, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jake.
Much more ahead on the breaking.
I want to cover something else that I also predicted for you guys that I told you would be very significant. Here is senior fellow at Center for International Policy Institute, Sinan Tusi. Here is what he is reporting, and this is yet another fucking thing that I told you. I'm just going to say it again. Multiple IRGC-affiliated Iranian outlets and Telegram channels are reporting that Iran has warned the United States, if you target our refineries, we will set fire to the refineries and oil fields across the entire region, including those in Saudi Arabia, Azerbaijan, Kuwait, the UAE, and Bahrain. If you recall, I told you over and over again, the real reason why America does not want to go into full-blown conflict with Iran despite Israel's wishes is because it would destabilize the entire planet. The nothing ever happens Andes obviously get to say that comfortably from the heart of America, from the imperial core, because nothing happens to them. Things are happening all the time. Things are happening to your loved ones if you have loved ones in the region. Things are happening all the fucking time, escalating at a rapid clip. But when people say nothing ever happens, they just mean nothing happens to Americans and American interests. Now this would be something happening to American interests, because the moment that you have and I told you this over and over again, the moment that you have Saudi oil refineries on fucking fire, and they have hit them before, which was part of the reason why Saudi Arabia was like, please, let's not go to war with Yemen any longer. We are actually down to no longer genocide Yemen. We were sorry. You know, remember when the Formula One was happening in Saudi Arabia and you could see the oil refineries on fire in the background? They don't want that to happen ever again, okay? Because when that happens, something does happen to America, okay? When oil refineries are on fire, when oil refineries get caught on fucking fire, all of a sudden, the entire economy that runs on petroleum implodes. I don't know if I'm just stupid or what, but I legitimately don't understand why Biden is saying we fully support Israel. Do they not realize this position might lose the election? Some things are more important than the election, my friend. Israel warned Iran before today's attack and they would respond to any hit on Israeli territory. Israel specifically said it would directly hit Iran's nuclear or oil facilities, according to Arab officials, by the way. Iran gave Arab allies warning ahead of attack. In response, Israel promised retaliation. Iran telegraphed to Arab officials in the region on Monday night that it was going to launch an attack on Israel that would be similar in its scale to its April attack when it launched 300 drones and ballistic and cruise missiles at Israel but caused minimal damage. Israel sent clear messages back to Iran that it would respond to any hit on Israeli territory, no matter how small or large, and that it didn't matter if there were casualties or not, the official said. Israel specifically said it would directly hit Iran's nuclear or oil facilities. So when people say Iran did not telegraph ahead of time that they were going to attack, you're wrong. Iran notified Russia and the U.S. before launching the missile attack on Israel, a senior Iranian official tells Reuters. Tehran had informed Russia ahead of missile attacks on Israel. U.S. was alerted by Iran through diplomatic channels shortly before the attacks. This is what I told you as well. No, Yoav Galan is not dead, man. Come on. I don't think he's dead, okay? Please. So America will, just like they have in the past, say that Iran did not actually say that they gave prior warning. The difference in this circumstance, as opposed to the previous retaliation from Iran, is that the prior warning came with much shorter, with a much shorter headway. Okay, this once again, considering that it was not civilian, like residential buildings targeted, was most likely to also flex to say we have the methods and the means to strike inside of Tel Aviv, to strike in or around civilian areas. Okay? Do you see Iran threatening the U.S. with the destruction of oil refineries? Yes, that's what I was, that is what I'm literally looking at right now. They leaked this to Thomas Friedman. Update, as predicted below, Iran launched several hundred ballistic missiles at Israel beginning at around 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. We may be about to enter what would be the most dangerous moment in the history of the modern Middle East, a ballistic missile war between Iran and Israel, which would almost certainly bring in the United States on Israel's side and could culminate a full-blown U.S.-Israeli effort to destroy Iran's nuclear program. That is the assessment I've gleaned from talking to Israeli intelligence sources whose analysis is that Iran plans to launch a missile attack against Israel at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is 7:30 p.m. in Israel. The attack is planned in 2 waves of 15 minutes apart, and each wave will involve 110 ballistic missiles, the Israelis said. They hit 180 instead. That is fucking nuts that Thomas Friedman knew about it. The Iranian missiles are aimed at 3 targets. First, the headquarters of the Mossad, Israel's foreign intelligence service near Tel Aviv. Second, the Israeli air base at Nevatim. And third, the Israeli air base at Katzirim. Both bases are in the south of Israel in the Negev desert. The Israeli officials are particularly concerned about any strike on Mossad headquarters because it is in the densely populated North Tel Aviv suburb of Ramat HaSharon. It is also not far from the Israeli Defense Intelligence Corps headquarters, Unit 8200. This information has been shared with me because the Israelis insist they do not want a full-scale ballistic war with Iran and want the United States to try to deter the Iranians by letting them know that if they do launch this missile attack, the United States will not be a bystander, and its response, unlike with the April 13th Iranian missile and drone attack on Israel, will not be purely defensive. In other words, Iran could be risking its entire nuclear program if this missile attack goes ahead. Once again, I have to reiterate my firmly held position that it is not an October surprise if a dumbass like me can figure out that this is going to inevitably happen with almost direct accuracy. The accuracy that Thomas Friedman is also demonstrating here, even though Thomas Friedman literally has insider information. Okay? I am an outsider in every way, shape, and form. If I told you that this was going to happen months ahead of time, if left unrestrained, which the Biden administration literally fucking did, okay, then everyone who is infinitely more intelligent than myself and have access to the actual fucking data on the ground in real time probably also knew that this was coming. It blows my fucking mind that those, calmer heads in American media, on the other hand, oh my fucking God, calmer minds in American media, okay, are shocked at this very predictable, very obvious retaliation. I need you to understand, this is not like an incredible prediction whatsoever. It is actually the expected outcome, okay? Israel has rampaged throughout the Middle East and on the assumption that Washington will not impose any restraints on its conduct during a presidential election campaign. Iran appears to have calculated a U.S. aversion to body bags during the final stretch of the election campaign gives it the freedom to deter Israel. Israel will now act to ensure further escalation, prove Iran's assumption wrong, and in the process give Trump a much-needed electoral boost. For their part, Biden and Harris will eagerly walk into a no-win situation. This assessment from Mo and Rabbani is once again exactly what I fucking said months ago. Literally months ago. There are tweets that you can find of mine months ago saying, hey guys, perhaps it's not the best idea to leave a genocidal apartheid state unrestrained in the region, as they consistently say they're in the tank for Donald Trump very openly, and that they will absolutely draw the United States into war if left unrestrained. That is the goal here. Okay? It was pretty obvious, to be honest. No offense, Hassan. I agree with you. I don't think that this is a particularly brilliant insight. Okay? Prepping the international community, Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz instructed Israel's, by the way, he is a real fucking freak, instructed Israeli ambassadors around the world to convey a message that the heads of state in their host countries that Israel will respond to the Iranian attack with severity and will protect the citizens, according to a senior foreign ministry official. I think they're probably going to try to hit like nuclear facilities or oil refineries. I do not know what Iran will do in retaliation to that, but Iran has also said, if you do strike Iranian refineries or Iranian nuclear capabilities, we will strike back. We will light the entire fucking region on fire. Oh my fucking Lord. Former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. on CNN, Israel must attack.
And the land of Israel to ensure that the Jewish people would never be subject again to precisely this type of attack.
Bro, by the way, this is like, in some ways, I think we get duped by the suit and tie and the expertise being demonstrated and display, and also the fact that they are on CNN, right? They got the skyscrapers in the background. Like, they look a certain way, right, on CNN. So we don't understand that, like, this is just as psychotic as, like, a QAnon Trump supporter, okay? Like, just because this guy has all of his teeth and is using, like, Washingtonian speak does not change the reality that the bloodlust is damn near identical to a hysterical Springfield, Ohioan turning around and just being like, oh, them Haitians are eating the cats and dogs. We must do something about it, okay? Just understand that this is still barbarism in display, okay? Just because it's an old white man and we're conditioned into assuming that old white men are actually the smart experts in the field should not change your calculation whatsoever. When this guy goes on television and says, it is in our DNA, we have to strike back, as the former Israeli ambassador to the United States, we have to fucking pummel Iran, okay? They are not thinking ahead, okay? It's just pure bloodlust. It is pure barbarism.
To defend the people and the land of Israel to ensure that the Jewish people would never be subject again to precisely this type of attack. And this goes to the DNA of the Jewish state.
Someone find the oldest tweet I have on the matter, or a clip. I don't know where Little Bear is today, but I'm sure you can find one where I was like, it is definitely very dangerous to let Israel, even if you are a bloodless, soulless electoral calculator, you should understand that even from the election, even from the perspective of like the election, it is definitely dangerous to leave Israel unrestrained without packing up a ceasefire agreement immediately. Okay? For months, For months, we've been saying this.
And Israel will have to respond, just as it responded to the attacks on October 7th, to the 11 months of shelling from Hezbollah in the north. Israel will respond and respond forcibly against Iran. And Israel has capabilities, and capabilities that are conventional, I must say, that it has not used. I want to call your attention to the operation that eliminated Mr. Hassan Nasrallah before several days ago, in which many Israeli planes dropped bombs, about 2,000-pound bombs, that cut through many, many yards of concrete. Now, we don't have strategic bombers like the United States have that can bomb, from 50,000 feet in the air with 50,000 bombs, but we have a lot of fighters, F-15s, F-16s, F-35s, that conduct successive bombing sorties that can cut through concrete. And
how does someone find that exact clip from the hundreds and hundreds of hours you stream? We have lore masters in the chat that clip stuff when I make predictions ahead of time so they can deploy it. But here's one. Even if the Dems don't care about the morality of the genocide, not halting weapons transfers to force Israel to cease fire is insane. Dems are leaving themselves at the mercy of an Israeli Trump, Bibi, who literally loves Trump. He will give Dems an October surprise with war. I just need you to understand, okay? No matter what my fucking haters say, I've been telling you ahead of time over and over again. I've been telling you ahead of time over and over again that this is going to happen, that you can't even call it an October surprise because it is an October expectation. Yeah, this was a fantastic gem. Thank you, Jay Mershin. To answer the question on everyone's minds, no, Joe Biden does not have a doctorate in foreign affairs. He's just that fucking good. Yeah, it's just an October inevitability or an October promise at that point. Anyway, here is what Bibi said. Here's what Satan Yahoo said. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Satan Yahoo. Iran made a big mistake tonight, and it will pay for it. The regime in Iran does not understand our determination to defend ourselves and our determination to retaliate against our enemies. Sinwar and Deif did not understand this. Nasrallah and Mohsen did not understand this. And there are probably those in Tehran who do not understand this. They will understand. We will stand by the rule we have established. Whoever attacks us, we will attack him. What will be Turkey's role in this? Come on, man. There are Turkish chatters that have been chirping, and they're like, damn, bro, if there's a regional war, they said they're going to strike everywhere in the Middle East. Are they going to strike us? Like, no, man. Don't worry. Those pipelines are still fucking giving Israel energy, okay? When it comes down to it, Turkey is at the table, if not the table, just not in the direction that chatters wish Turkey was at the table. Okay? Israeli police says 6 people were killed and 10 others were wounded in the shooting attack in the city of Jaffa in central Israel on Tuesday. What is this? Biden's unconditional support to Israel gave all the confidence to a corrupt fascist madman like Bibi to broaden the conflict in an effort to draw the U.S. in. Israel struck Beirut and then the Iranian consulate compound in Damascus. We should have put an end to this a long time ago, April 13th, 2024. Like, accidentally arrived at really solid positions overall with one obvious, glaringly obvious weakness, which is Israel, which is just like standing there waiting to be the October surprise. That is not even a fucking surprise. It's like everybody knows that Benjamin Netanyahu is in the tank for Donald Trump and is getting increasingly more unhinged every single fucking day. And like not trying to put forward like weapons transfers as a condition in an effort to curb Israel back, like in an effort to rein Israel in, is basically just allowing them to run the table.
Yeah. Like their calculus
Thank you,
is
Borlo, for the clip.
If we say like, weapons will never be conditioned, maybe they won't try to fuck us in October. And it's like, they're probably going to do that anyway, I would assume. I don't know if they're...
So to those who are like shocked by today's events, just remember that for months and months and months, damn, you must be incredibly smart to see something coming that the entire State Department missed. Exactly. They did not. Obviously, I'm not smarter, and they did not miss this. They know, they just don't care. The problem is, I think they are still short-sighted. They're nearsighted. I think that they are too heavily invested in short-term benefits for their regional ally, making as much territorial acquisition as they possibly can engage in before it just, inevitably goes away. They're too hyper-focused on short-term gains for the military-industrial complex. They're too hyper-focused on, like, letting Israel rain bloodshed upon the entire region. I think that they are blinded. They are delusional. There are definitely people in the State Department who recognize this reality and go, we have to do something about this. But at the tippy top are people who are just refusing to hear any fucking reason, okay? They are refusing to hear any reason whatsoever. Yeah, we should have put an end to this a long time ago. Hassan the Hun at 4/13/2024. This guy literally just said I'm Adolf Hitler for saying we have to stop the modern version of Adolf Hitler. That's awesome. Like when we make an assessment of the Nazi regime and how insane they were, especially towards the end, and like all of the tactical mistakes that they engaged in, like I'm sure there were fucking reasonable people even in that mania that were like, hey, maybe it's not the best idea. Like, we love the genocide, but perhaps it's not the best idea to like invade Russia, right? You know, let's not expand further and further. But of course, in a similar capacity right here, I mean, there were fucking generals that were also literally Nazis who were awful, monstrous pieces of shit that tried to fucking assassinate Adolf Hitler. You know what I mean? The point is, I think that these people are nearsighted in the sense that they think that America can keep up this unlimited support to Israel without incurring severe penalties as the primary partner, okay?
Another very difficult night for Israel. Of course, we saw a similar attack in April, but this felt like there was less notice, and we could see it in the night sky raining over Israel.
Indeed, Yalda, it was an unprecedented attack against Israel. And you know, for years, the Iranians were playing the game, hiding behind their proxies. But now all masks are off. You know, they send hundreds of ballistic missiles into civilian population. They are not hiding their intentions. And I can tell you one thing, we will retaliate. It will be painful. We will not sit idly by when a state is attacking, a terror state like Iran is attacking our civilians.
Ambassador, do you think, it's clear that you're going to retaliate? The United States says that there is going to be consequences. But in April, you retaliated as well. Are you saying that this one's going to be bigger?
Well, we cannot get accustomed to the situation where Iran is sending hundreds of ballistic missiles into our country. You know, even when you look at the history, at the Blitz of London, you haven't seen the number of missiles flying into a capital city or a state. So we have to take different measures. As we speak, the cabinet is discussing those issues, and I'm sure that it will be felt very soon. At the same time, I have called the Security Council to convene an emergency session here at the United Nations to condemn the aggression of Iran.
There's one problem, and this is a pretty significant one that I hadn't even thought about before. With the exception of the Ayatollah, there isn't really a ch sound that you can make for Iran. Because you have the Houthis in Yemen, you have Hezbollah in Lebanon, and you have Hamas in Gaza. But it doesn't really, like, you can't really hit that ch in the beginning. You have to have a ch in the beginning. So maybe you could say like Ayatollah Khamenei, but like that's it. You know what I mean? You can say Tehran, but I don't know. It just doesn't hit the same. You know, the ch has to be in the beginning. So how are they going to do that? How? I don't know. Your imagination is limited, sir. Iran. Kamala Harris's live statement on Iran. Oh, shit.
President Biden's order for the U.S. military to shoot down Iranian missiles targeting Israel, just as we did in April. We are still assessing the impact, but initial indications are that Israel, with our assistance, was able to defeat this attack. Our joint defenses have been effective, and this operation and successful cooperation saved many innocent lives. As I have said, I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist militias. My commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering. And let us be clear, Iran is not only a threat to Israel, Iran is also a threat to American personnel in the region, American interests, and innocent civilians across the region who suffer at the hands of Iran-based and
Israel's
proxies.
not a threat to anybody.
We will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend U.S. forces and interests against Iran and Iran-backed terrorists. And we will continue to work with our allies and partners to disrupt Iran's aggressive behavior and hold them accountable. Thank you.
That was terrible. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Kamala Harris has
President Biden's order to
stated
shoot
time
down,
and time again that she's
those
just like
Iranian
locked
missiles.
in, you know, she's
also
dialed in.
saying that the joint defenses between the U.S. and Israel were effective, echoing comments that we heard from Jake Sullivan and Secretary Blinken earlier, calling this an unsuccessful attack. Our Ben Wiedemann is in Beirut.
All Trump needs to do from here on out, every single fucking day, is to just be like, Iran would never attack Israel if I was in charge. They're afraid of me. You know, I'm the GOAT. I'm the peacekeeper. I'm the one who's going to do peace through strength. Look at all the fucking wars waging around the world.
Time since 2006.
The problem is, for Donald Trump at least, he just can't shut the fuck up about the most insane shit. And it's just,
so many
you know,
leaders in the Middle East
that still cooks
were warning
them a
the
lot.
United. Damn, this guy's good.